The old man was standing in the middle of the bank, clutching a worn blue booklet against his chest, when he suddenly reached toward a young woman he had never met before and made a request that left her completely confused. He looked frightened, almost desperate, as he glanced toward the glass doors behind him. Then he whispered, "Can you pretend to be my granddaughter for 5 minutes?" The young woman had no idea that those 5 minutes would change both their lives forever. Before we continue, if you believe that kindness can give someone hope when they need it most, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, leave a comment, and subscribe to Kindness Thread. Sometimes, one small act of kindness can become the beginning of an entirely different life. Her name was Emily Carter, 26 years old, and that morning she had entered the bank with only one goal: to deposit the last few $100s she had saved from working 2 jobs. Emily had been struggling for months. After her mother became seriously ill, Emily had taken extra shifts at a cafe while working part-time at a small clothing store. Every dollar mattered. She was exhausted, behind on rent, and terrified that one unexpected expense could destroy everything she had managed to hold together. She was standing near the customer service desk when she noticed the old man. He looked to be in his late 70s. His gray hair was untidy, his brown jacket was faded and torn at the sleeve, and his shoes were badly worn. Yet there was something dignified about him. He held a small blue booklet in one hand and repeatedly checked the entrance as if he were waiting for someone. Emily initially looked away. She had learned not to judge people by appearances, but she had also learned to protect herself. Then the old man approached her. His request sounded strange, but the fear in his eyes made Emily pause. She quietly asked why he needed her to pretend to be his granddaughter. The old man glanced toward a sharply dressed man standing near the bank manager's office. Then he explained that he needed 5 minutes because someone was trying to take something from him that belonged to his family. Emily still didn't understand, but there was something in his voice that made it impossible for her to simply walk away. She agreed. The old man gently placed his hand on her shoulder and began walking beside her as though they had arrived together. Emily played along, asking him if he was feeling better and telling him they could finish their business and go home afterward. The old man's expression changed immediately. For the first time that morning, his face relaxed. But Emily noticed something unusual. The man in the expensive suit near the manager's office had started watching them. A few seconds later, a bank employee approached the old man and explained that there was a problem with his account. The employee spoke politely, but the old man became visibly nervous. Emily instinctively stayed beside him. Then the truth began to unfold. The old man's name was Samuel Bennett. He had spent more than 40 years working as a mechanic before retiring. His wife had passed away several years earlier, and their only daughter had died unexpectedly many years before. Their relationship had never been perfect, but Samuel had loved her deeply. His daughter had left behind a young girl. A granddaughter Samuel had not seen since she was a child. Emily's heart sank when she realized why his request had seemed so personal. Samuel had recently discovered that someone had been attempting to access an old family trust connected to his late daughter. The bank had flagged unusual activity, but Samuel had been pressured into signing documents he didn't fully understand. The sharply dressed man was a representative who claimed to be helping Samuel manage his finances. Samuel didn't trust him. He had come to the bank that morning because he wanted to freeze everything until he could understand what was happening. But the representative had been telling employees that Samuel was confused and incapable of making financial decisions on his own. Samuel had been afraid that nobody would listen. Then he saw Emily. For 5 minutes, pretending she was his granddaughter gave him the courage to stand his ground. Emily could have left at that moment. Instead, she stayed. She told the bank manager that Samuel had every right to understand the documents before signing anything. She asked that the paperwork be reviewed carefully and that Samuel be given time to contact an independent advisor. Her voice wasn't loud, but it was steady. The manager listened. After reviewing the records, the bank discovered something disturbing. Several transactions connected to the trust had been attempted without Samuel's clear authorization. The representative's story began falling apart. Security was called. Samuel's hands trembled as he sat down in a quiet corner of the bank. Emily sat beside him, even though she had no reason to stay. Then Samuel opened the blue booklet he had been carrying all morning. Inside was an old photograph. It showed a little girl sitting on the shoulders of a younger Samuel. Emily stared at it. The little girl had the same distinctive birthmark near her eyebrow that Emily had. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Samuel slowly asked Emily about her family. She told him her mother's name. Samuel's face changed completely. It was the name of his daughter. Emily suddenly understood. She wasn't pretending to be his granddaughter. She actually was. Her mother had never told her the full story about her father. Emily had grown up believing her grandfather had abandoned the family. Samuel had spent decades believing his daughter had wanted nothing to do with him. Both had been living with the same misunderstanding. Samuel's eyes filled with tears as he realized the young woman standing beside him was the little girl he had once carried through the garden on his shoulders. Emily couldn't stop crying either. For years, she had wondered why she had never known her grandfather. She had blamed him without knowing the truth. Now, standing in a bank beside a frightened old man, she discovered that he had spent decades carrying the same pain. The bank eventually secured the trust and began investigating the attempted transactions. But Samuel's greatest relief had nothing to do with money. He had found his granddaughter. And Emily had found a piece of her family she never knew she was missing. That afternoon, Samuel asked Emily if she would have dinner with him sometime. He didn't ask for forgiveness or pretend that decades could disappear in one conversation. He simply wanted the chance to know her. Emily agreed. Over the following weeks, they slowly rebuilt their relationship. Samuel helped Emily repair her mother's old house, while Emily helped Samuel organize his papers and appointments. They discovered that they both loved old movies, homemade apple pie, and sitting quietly on the porch when the evening sky turned orange. The 5 minutes that began as a simple favor became the first 5 minutes of a second chance neither of them believed was possible. And sometimes, life doesn't give us the perfect opportunity to fix the past. Sometimes, it gives us a frightened stranger asking for 5 minutes. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it, and subscribe to Kindness Thread. Your support helps these stories of kindness, hope, and second chances reach more people. And before we end, comment, 5 minutes can change everything, if you believe one small act of kindness can change someone's life. Because Emily thought she was pretending to be a stranger's granddaughter for 5 minutes. She never imagined she was finally meeting the grandfather she had been missing her entire life.